my point, and I've mentioned this before, look, it'd be great if everyone got $1 million.
Mm-hmm. I heard Godfrey talking about this.
Yeah, it would bankrupt, like the country is not going to be able to afford $1 million to every black person in America.
Right.
You know, even if you exclude the immigrants and so forth. Because the money they gave to the Native Americans, they were less than 1% of the population. That's how that was able to happen. I'm all for it. I just don't think realistically in our lifetime it's going to happen. Right. And the reality, so let's just say, okay, let's not say $1 million. Let's say $100,000.
But I think, you know what, to be honest with you, I think that I don't feel like it serves the conversation to speculate on that.
Yeah.
And I'll say that because I'm not in the no check camp. I'm not in the only, equity camp. Like, the reason why is because I'm not an expert in that part of it. I think that we need to get to a point to allow the experts to figure that out. The ADOS movement holds up Sandy Darity as an expert in reparations. Sandy Darity is a guy who's an economist who's been very pervasive in the reparations space to get people to understand that we need reparations. He worked with a guy named Derek Hamilton, who I recently interviewed for my show. Now, Derek Hamilton and Sandy Darity came up with a thing called baby bonds, sort of to stimulate financial growth in the black community and close the wealth gap. But now they disagree about that. Now, Derek Hamilton is a professional professor. He's not going to be on Twitter going at ADOS like I do. And I know this because I spoke to him and he said, I'm not going to be doing that. But I know he doesn't agree professionally or academically with Sandy Darity anymore. Claude Anderson, when I was working at Akira Books, I used to sell this book called Black Labor, White Wealth. Claude Anderson is the author of the book. Claude Anderson, Randall Robinson has a book called The Debt. These are the forefathers of this pro-reparations movement. Claude Anderson went to the White House this year and spoke to Donald Trump about reparations, right? Now, Claude Anderson, ADOS purports to align with a lot of his philosophies. Claude Anderson is also a guy that feels like immigration harms the black community. I don't agree with Dr. Claude Anderson on this. I don't disrespect Dr. Claude Anderson, though, because I recognize that he does have a commitment to the black agenda, and he's not like he's online trying to get people to vote for Trump and diss Democrats and diss immigrants. I feel like he looks at some data and he feels like there's some competition with the black community, immigrants who come in the community. I would push back against that data. But again, I would point to the experts when it's time to have the conversation about the millions and the trillions and this and that and this. When you're having that conversation and we're at the point where the way the House is now, we're not going to pass reparations.
Yeah.
Why are we talking about checks?
Right.
The fuck? What?
Right. And here's the reality of it, because one of the things that really pissed off ADOS was I did a poll. And I said, okay, everyone's so against education, right? Everyone's, education's worthless. I've got a PhD and I'm out of work and whatever else. You get these types of weird tweets, which I'm not even.
Cut the check, and if you don't cut the check, I'm willing to burn the whole system down, and it doesn't matter if Trump wins. And
I put a poll up. I said, if you had a choice, which one would you take? A free college education with a $100,000 value, or a $25,000 check up front? 2/3 of my followers chose the $25K up front.
People like cash.
Take an 18-year-old, take any 18-year-old in this country of any race, and give that young man $25,000. How long is it going to last him?
I mean, I agree with you. I think you're making a logical point. But here's why I want to push back on that a little bit.
But let me just kind of finish my thought here. They'd probably go get a new car. They'd go to the mall.
Yeah, I was making money like that when I was 20, 21, and I fucked it all up.
Fucked it all up.
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah.
As I did.
As most kids do who make money like that. Yeah.
Well, I was making money like that at 22 and 23, and I was fucking it up. Right? The first time you get a chunk of money and you don't know how to actually handle it, you're going to fuck it up. So what I'm saying is, an education over the lifetime of an average American, and people are going to say, well, that's only white Americans or whatever else. But on average, a college graduate will make $1 million more during the course of their life with a college education versus a high school education. And that was sort of my thinking of like, okay, look, here's a way of offering, like I said, it was just possibly
Right.
of offering reparations to something that no one could really be against.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. White Americans can't be against education. The government can't be against education. You're educating and making a whole population in America more competitive and better at what they do and so forth. But people hated it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I will push back on that a little bit. It's difficult, especially for a white guy, to tell a person from a community that's been so disenfranchised, where the wealth gap is so large. Like, hey man, take this college education and leave this cash alone. But cash is very seductive.
Yeah. Did you go to college, by the way?
I went to college and I dropped out.
Okay.
And I am someone who, for me, college didn't work. It wasn't going to work.
Right.
I decided very early that rather than be in debt for the rest of my life, I was going to try my hand at this rap thing.
Right.
College debt is a huge problem in this country.
Right. Which was part of my idea also, to literally have people who, like with the whole reparations thing, like, okay, look, you basically are going to get the same advantages of a star athlete in college, where you can go to college, free tuition, free room and board,
well, maybe,
and you enter the workforce without $100,000 debt.
But I do think that there are people who do all of that and end up broke.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where the pushback for that comes from.
Right. But I could tell you, I have a computer science degree from UC Berkeley, and I could tell you for a fact that I have made millions of dollars because
You're a
of that
white
degree.
guy, though. And you never had the black experience.
I never have. I never have. Right. But what I do in Vlad TV is so focused on my computer science degree in terms of what I do on an everyday basis.
But even
in my own company, without having someone else hire me or whatever else, a company that I started from scratch, that you watched me start from scratch.
I did, absolutely.
That degree has been worth millions of dollars.
On top of your white privilege.
On top of my white privilege.
That's right. So your whiteness has allowed you to access to spaces that the black Vlad, he'd have to work 3 times as hard as you.
In hip hop?
Absolutely in
really?
hip hop.
Okay.
Absolutely. If you look at the white dude in hip hop, it's hard on someone like Eminem and Macklemore and LP from Company Flow when they coming up, because everyone's gonna be like, you're white and this and that, and you're a minority in this space. But once you get on, you become Macklemore and Eminem and LP. You become Eminem is the highest selling rapper of all time when you look at just record sales. It's not because he's the best rapper ever. He's very good. He is one of the best. He is one of the best. But the idea that Eminem should have outsold every single rapper. I went on tour with Macklemore. I love Macklemore. He's a great guy. He brought me and Big Crit on tour. But watching his audience, watching him doing what we do, but it was palpable to his audience, to these, teeny bopper white girls and everything. And in hip hop, because the record industry is run by white people, because we live in a majority white country, white privilege exists in hip hop, even though it's harder for white people to break into the space. But once you get into space, the opportunities are boundless.
Okay, I can accept that. Yeah. I've never looked at it that way, but I think that's a valid point.
Yeah, I think, and it's hard for you to see it. The same way it's hard for me to see my male privilege, or the same way it'd be hard for me to see my privilege as an American versus someone who grew up in a quote unquote third world country. We just get advantages just from inherited from the nature of how we were born. We have no control over it. But as genuine people, we have to sort of acknowledge these things. But that's why I'm not saying, like, if I heard Mark Thompson say it, it's different from me hearing you say it, because I know that you've studied it. You're with Cobra. You're dealing with Congress. You're talking to politicians. But Vlad TV and the Vlad TV, it's harder for you to say that, even if you might be correct about some of it.
Okay, fair enough. Well, you've said that Ados is faking the funk and they're weaponizing the movement.
Absolutely. But here's my position. I want to be very clear about this. Because there are people who feel like, okay, well, Kweli, they're for reparations, you're for reparations, why don't you work with them? Well, I don't work with people who come after me and change my wiki and attack my family. We talked about how they went after my mother's lineage. They also went after my younger brother. My younger brother, Jamal Green, he is a constitutional law professor. He went to Harvard and he went to Yale.
Wow.
He is black excellence.
Oh, yeah.
All right? My brother, his job as a constitutional law professor, during the hearing of Kavanaugh, was he was hired to sort of vet some of the things that Kamala Harris and some other people who were grilling Kavanaugh. So if you see pictures, if you see Kamala Harris grilling Brett Kavanaugh, my brother is back there. Like you see him giving her notes and this and that. ADOS took this and they're like, he's down with Kamala Harris. And so Talib Kweli's brother works for Kamala Harris. He's never worked for Kamala Harris. He works for Columbia University. Then they were like, my brother, because he's a constitutional law professor, when Antonio Scalia passed away, right-wing, racist, Republican judge, right? My brother wrote an essay in the New York Times that New York Times, the headline was called Liberal Love for Scalia. And the point of the article that my brother was writing was, as a lawyer, even though I disagree with Scalia on just about everything, he was very effective. And my brother wrote a lawyer about how he effectively got his right-wing conservative principles into the Supreme Court. They took this article and said, Talib Kweli's brother is a right-wing guy. He's not. The first thing, in the first paragraph, he says, I disagree with everything that Scalia says. But he's talking about, just as a lawyer strategies, right? Now, would I have written that article? Nah, if I had written an article, it would have been like, fuck Scalia. I'm not my brother. I'm hip-hop. I'm fuck the police all day. My brother is like, well, actually, you know what I'm saying? He's a lawyer. He has to approach it in a different, more pragmatic way. But look, I don't know anything about Yvette Carnell's family. I don't know what Antonio Moore's mother does or this and that. How you gonna go after my mom? How you gonna go after my brother? That crosses the fucking line. You have a problem with something I'm saying? Bring it to me. The fact that you bring in my family into it, the fact that y'all posted all these white supremacist lies that they tell about me on the internet, ADOS is sending me these lies. So, but let me remove the personal stuff from it, right? Because clearly I have a bias there, right? Clearly I'm like, you came at me personally, so I'm gonna go at you personally, right? Let me try my best to remove the personal stuff to the side. Personal stuff aside, going after my mother and my brother aside, how are y'all following someone who works with PFIR? How are y'all following someone who wears MAGA hats? How are y'all following someone who says that we need to support ICE agents and build a wall? Because that's what ADOS is saying. ADOS is saying that these immigrants, particularly these African immigrants, are coming to take our reparations. That is not true. That is not a pro-reparations argument. That is an anti-immigration, anti-black argument. So when people...
We'll even take reparations that don't even exist right now. Like
Exactly.
You're taking what? Like It's not there's a bag of money put aside and people are trying to chip away at it.
Right.
Like we're not even close to that point yet. So who's taking what?
Right. So the people who are fooled by ADOS.
Right. Like, and in terms of getting, like I said, getting mad at me, I don't make these decisions. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not determining the laws. When I say possibly education, that's just an opinion that really has no weight behind it.
There are people who are fooled. There are pro-black people who are fooled by ADOS because on the surface, it's a pro-reparations movement. And to your point that you made at the beginning of this interview, had they come at me and said, Kweli, you're pro-reparations, let's talk about the best way to get it, I probably would have been supporting ADOS. They came at me like, you're a celebrity, shut the fuck up. Mm-hmm. Right? Whoa, okay. I won't say Killer Mike is fooled because I don't take Killer Mike for a fool. But there are people who are fooled by ADOS. And the people who are fooled by it, they point to the data. Because particularly Sandy Doherty and Antonio Moore, they based their argument for reparations based on the data about the wealth gap. Here's the problem with that argument. When you're coming to people who are pro-reparations, arguing with them and presenting pro-reparations data, what the fuck are we arguing about?
Right.
I agree with your data.
Right.
The data's not what I have an issue with. I have an issue with this nativist position you've taken. I have an issue with this nationalist anti-immigration position you've taken. And I have an issue with the fact that you seem to target Cory Booker, Talib Kweli, Joy-Ann Reid, Mark Thompson, anyone who says I'm anti-Trump, ADOS is on their ass. That's what I have an issue with.
Right. Well, let me just say this in closing. Everyone who is part of ADOS, I'm really on the same side as y'all.
No, you're not.
Essentially,
no,
in terms of the overall reparations,
because
the
they're not here
reparations
for
part.
reparations,
Right,
Vlad.
right.
They're not here for reparations.
That's what I'm saying.
They're here to be anti-immigrant and pro-Trump, and that's why this conversation is so confusing.
I'm not anti. I am.
But you're pro-reparations.
I'm pro-immigrant. I am anti-Trump. Mm-hmm. This has been established through hundreds of interviews, and I'm pro-reparations. So for anyone in ADOS who really is focused on the pro-reparations part, let me just say we're on the same side.
But you said that. Did you not say
I'll
that?
say it again because it gets ignored.
But does it matter though?
You got to understand that
It doesn't matter to them. If it doesn't matter to them, then you know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter whether you're pro reparations or not because they're not pro reparations.
Right, because there's literally dozens of videos that were created as responses to what I said. And the titles were like, DJ Vlad says black people deserve reparations in the form of education. I never said that. I said possibly in the form. Right. I never said deserve. But you know,
does the truth matter?
I understand the game.
Does the truth matter in the post-truth era?
Yeah, at the end of the day, a title like this will get more people riled up than what I actually said. And I get it.
You get that.
I get it. I get it. I'm not gonna bring these people on my show that want to twist up my shit. But all right, get your little 30,000 views and.
Do you know what Cambridge Analytica is?
Yes.
Did you watch The Great Hack?
No, but that's basically the company that was linked up with Facebook and kind of.
Watch The Great Hack is on Netflix. It breaks it all down.
Okay.
It talks about how Cambridge Analytica was really in league with Steve Bannon. You know who Steve Bannon is?
Yeah. Right. The one who helped Trump get elected.
Right. Super white nationalist, white supremacist.
Yeah. Breitbart.
Right. Breitbart.com. Steve Bannon was friends with John Tanton. This is the same group of people. Cambridge Analytica, Steve Bannon. If you watch The Great Hack and you understand what Cambridge Analytica was, and you understand what happened in the 2016, and you being, you know, a Russian guy, you know what I'm saying? Like, here's the problem. It's very dismissive, and it hurts the argument to say ADOS is all bots, and that's where they got a lot of traction. Because a lot of them are not bots. Right. A lot of them were like, I'm an actual person. I'm not a bot.
Tone is not a bot.
Right. He's not a bot. Yvette Carnell's not a bot.
Not a bot.
So when you base your argument based on ADOS is all bots, you might lose that argument because there's a lot of bots. It's a lot of white supremacists and digital blackface, but that's not really what ADOS is. It's without a doubt that Russia had an influence in the 2016 election, and the tactics that they used are the same exact tactics that ADOS is using. It's the same shit, you know? And it's not a coincidence that Steve Bannon and John Tanton have the same exact mission. This is a white supremacist, white nationalist, astroturf. You know what the term astroturf means?
Not really, no.
On the ground, sort of grassroots movement is organic. Astroturf is not organic.
It's fake, right?
It's fake. It's something that's meant to seem organic, but really pushes a different agenda. That's what ADOS is. That's what PFIR is.
I feel you, man. Well, listen, to anyone who considers themselves part of ADOS, but really is focused on the reparations part,
leave. Leave. Stop getting in the way of the actual reparations.
Me and those people are on the same side.
That's okay.
I'm getting tired of defending this position, but I will say it for the 100th time, and I will say it again. And anyone who wants me to shut up and not talk about it, that's not going to happen. I'm going to keep talking about it on my own platform that I created. There's nothing y'all could do about it. How's that? And whoever doesn't want to go to Vlad TV and watch my videos, I'll be okay. I'll be fine.
Listen, I consider ADOS my enemy because of the personal stuff. You don't come from my brother. You don't threaten me physically. You don't come from my mom's. If somebody comes up to me, this happened in Milwaukee. Shout out to DJ Indiana Jones. A guy hit me like, I want to interview you about ADOS. I'm like, no, you can't. He started a whole quality hate campaign and we had to ban him from the venue. You come up to me talking that ADOS shit, it might be a problem because I'm looking at you as a threat. That's real talk. That's real spill. But I would encourage Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore to come on Vlad TV or to go to other places besides their own YouTube channels where they're selling ADOS t-shirts and visit my Patreon for money, to go here and try and deal with the people and try to explain their position. I would encourage them to do that.
Well, right, because all of Tone Talk's responses to me had an ad for a convention that he was having.
Okay, so let's talk about the convention.
Right.
Yvette Carnell and Tone Talks have YouTube channels. If you go to YouTube channels, you see Patreon links to pay me for shit.
Yeah.
You see, and they all their videos like click to donations, this and that.
Right. Which, by the way, Vlad TV has never done and has no intention of doing. Let me just put that out there.
So ADOS, Yvette Carnell has an LLC called Breaking Brown. That company, Breaking Brown, trademarked the name ADOS. So if you sell an ADOS t-shirt, they're going to sue you. They have all the rights. They own the name ADOS, right? So they'll tell you, I'm sure they said this to you, ADOS is a lineage. ADOS is an ethnic group of 40 million Black Americans. A word is an ethnic group of 40 million Black Americans? Well, it's trademarked. So whatever t-shirt money she makes, I deserve a cut of that. I'm ADOS, according to them.
Right.
Right? According to my lineage, I'm ADOS. So why can't I get no t-shirt money? Oh, well, that's her own personal money. Oh, it's her own personal money? Cool. Then just say it's a t-shirt company. Don't tell me it's a 40 million strong ethnic group. And first of all, that 40 million strong, that's not all black Americans. That includes Caribbean people, African people, this and that. So your numbers is off.
Yeah.
Right? So you have this LLC. You selling t-shirts. It's not a 501c. Black Lives Matter is a charity organization. So if we wanted to get in their taxes and find out if they really making money on this, we can.
Right.
Right?
Because as a nonprofit, you don't pay taxes.
That's right. So with Breaking Bad, with Yvette Carnell, all the money that she makes on t-shirt sales is private money that she profits from, that she makes. Now they had this conference at the church. Reverend Cosby at the church in Louisville, he donated that church to them. They didn't pay for the church. You have $15 a ticket. 2,000 people fit in the church, right? You did a 2-day conference, but you also sell streams. She sells streams for $10 a pop. How many streams sold? I don't know, right? So you have t-shirt sales, streams. You have the people coming into the thing, all to hear Yvette Carnell and Tone Talk speak 8 to 10 times. How does that help us get reparations? In fact, who does that help besides Yvette Carnell and Antonia Moore?
Well, yeah. I mean, I realized after this whole situation that I don't think they really want people to come together and they want a solution. I think by having it chaotic and having this division, that's money. Actually how they make money and they make their energy.
It's Blexit. It's Tommy Sotomayor. It's all the same shit.
Right. Well, hey, listen, that's your hustle. That's your hustle. But
and that's
I'm still going to say what I'm going to say.
I respect the hustle. Yeah. Just tell me, look, she's selling t-shirts. I like the t-shirts. Don't tell me if you don't represent if you diss ADIS, Kweli, you said ADOS is trash, you're dissing my ancestors. You're dissing 40 million black, your ancestors didn't have Twitter, nigga. Your ancestors wasn't on YouTube. How am I dissing your ancestors? They invented that shit last fucking year. And matter of fact, you dissing your ancestors by saying your ancestors is representing an anti-immigration hate cult that didn't even exist in 2018.